So today's Shiur is sponsored Leilui Nishmas Menachem Nachum ben Moshe Yitzchak. The site is Chaf Alaf Tammuz. That'll be this Shabbos. So may the schus of the Torah, the Neshama have Aliyah.
Amen. Amen.
We're holding on page Mem, which is opposite of page 78. 2 lines from the bottom, where it says Ve'ein lecha simcha. So last week we transitioned to true simcha, and we learned that true simcha becomes a possibility once we've crushed the ego, once we've crushed the nefesh bahamis. Then we have the ability to truly experience the joy of the nefesh halikis. And what is the joy of the nefesh halikis? The joy of the nefesh halikis is learning Torah, doing a mitzvah, and davening. And when that happens, the nefesh halikis, it's like it's being released from prison. It's being released from captivity. And the simcha that the nefesh halikis experiences is a tremendous simcha. And that is a simcha that we can and we should tap into. To put this in somewhat simpler words, or more relatable words, most of us, by default, I mean all of us by default, and most of us remain in that default state. We wake up in the morning, and our thoughts are, what am I going to accomplish today? What am I going to do today? What am I going to achieve today? What am I going to do today to further my career? What am I going to do today to get for myself some pleasure? I don't mean pleasure in a hedonistic way. Make a few more dollars, or even more meaningful and spiritual things, like what am I going to do today to improve myself? And all, as we know, those of you here are veterans from many Shiur and Tanya, all of these things are thoughts and feelings of the nefesh bahamis. Self-centered. Again, nefesh bahamis isn't bad. The core of the nefesh bahamis is self-centeredness. And when that is our mindset for the day, more or less, so then true simcha isn't possible. As we explored this last week, true simcha is not possible with the nefesh bahamis because you're always left wanting, you're always left desiring for more, you're always left feeling incomplete. As the Medrash says, that no one dies having fulfilled half of their desires. It's a Messiah, the one who has 100 wants 200, the one who has 200 wants 400. I might have mentioned this in the past. They did a study, and they took many people, and they followed them for many years. And every year they would ask them a question, and the question was, how much money does a family of 4 need in order to get by comfortably? We're not talking about wealth, we're not talking about extravagance, but comfortably. And the answer that the people would give went up every single year. And we're talking about obviously on average, and it was always a little more than what they were currently making. Whatever they were making, and we weren't talking about wealth. What do you need to live comfortably? A little more than what they currently had. And that really just expresses the Medrash. We're never happy with what we have. We always want more. Where is true happiness? True happiness lies in the nefesh halikis. What does the nefesh halikis mean? Nefesh halikis means it's about a change of mindset. Change of mindset means you wake up in the morning and you say, Moida ani lefanacha, and you say, Hashem, today I'm yours. I have no agenda. Today I would like to do what you want me to do. giving myself over to you. I actually just saw last week. Every week there's they put out a paper. There's an organization called GEM, Jewish Educational Media, and they put out every week a paper. They put a video, and what they do is they video thousands upon thousands of people, their experiences and their encounters with the Rebbe firsthand.
Whatever, every Motzei Shabbat, everything's a shiur.
The video, right. So then they took some of those stories and they put them on papers, and every in Crown Heights, probably maybe over here also, every Shabbos they put out a paper with a first-hand encounter of someone with the Rebbe. So last week, my story, right? So last week, maybe some of you read this story. This person lives now in Crown Heights, I believe, and he writes that his parents owned a grocery store in Crown Heights, and one of their customers was the Rebbe's mother. Rebbe's mother passed away in 1964, and he would go. This man who was interviewed, he was a teenager at that time, and he would go deliver groceries to the Rebbe's mother. And the Rebbe's mother was a very social person. And she would engage people in conversation, and she engaged this Bachar in conversation also. And he said, he recounts over there some of the conversations he had with the Rebbe's mother. And one of the things he says is that he once asked the Rebbe's mother, he said, I don't know where the question came from, it's somewhat of a chutzpah question. He said that, what is your son's, the Rebbe's, what is his favorite tefillah? What's his favorite prayer?
That's a chutzpah.
And the Rebbe said, I don't know. Well, let me find out, I'll get back to you. So next week he comes back and the Rebbe says, I asked my son what his favorite tefillah is, and he said that it's Moida Ani. So the Rebbe said, which is not really a surprise for those who are familiar with the Rebbe's Torah, because Moida Ani plays a very central part. The Rebbe talks about it many, many times, and many different layers and many different levels. But the bottom line is Moida Ani is the first moment of the day. It's when the person first wakes up, first thoughts, and what is the first thing that a person does when he wakes up in the morning is thanks Hashem for the neshama and commits himself that today is going to be a day which is going to be given over to Hashem. The Rebbe writes in Hayom Yom that we say Moida Ani the first thing that we wake up in the morning, even before we wash Nagelwasser. And why is that? Because there's nothing in the world, even though that a person's hands are impure at that time, there's nothing in the world that can defile the Moida Ani of a Jew. Moida Ani of a Jew is the ultimate purity. Nothing can defile it. Therefore, we can say it even before we wash Nagelwasser. According to halacha, the reason why you're allowed to say it is because it doesn't have Hashem's name in it. But at a deeper level, the reason why is because it emanates from such a high level in the neshama that we don't need to purify our hands because it can't be defiled. Like the Gemara says that divrei Torah aren't mekabel tuma. Words of Torah can't. That's why someone is tummy. It's a lot of study Torah. The same thing, the Moida Ani of a Yid is not mekabel tuma. So when a person wakes up in the morning and he says, today what is on my agenda today? Today my agenda is Ana Avda Dekut Shabrichu. Today I am serving Hashem. That's all I want to do. What you've done is you've kicked in motion, you set in motion a day which is a day of the neshama, a neshama dekidei. Today I'm living with a mindset of the neshama. And obviously, at certain points during the day, you recalibrate and you refocus and you try to remember what am I doing here today? I'm going to work. Why am I going to work today? Because Hashem told me that I have to go to work. Why am I going to work? The Gemara says that there's a pasuk in Yeshaya. I don't remember all the words of the pasuk. It's a V'hoya, something, Yeshua is choisen, whatever. It's a pasuk with several words. V'hoya emunas something. Emunas choisen Yeshua. I don't remember the exact words. But the Gemara says that in these in this pasuk is merumas is alluded to all the shisha sidrei Mishnah, and it explains how every single one of them is alluded to one of the words. And the Gemara says that the Zroim, Seder Zroim, where is that alluded to in the pasuk? And the word emunas. One of the words in the pasuk is emunas. Emuna. What's the connection between Zroim and emuna? So the Gemara says because a Yid is maimin b'chai ilamim v'zeireya. A Yid, he doesn't plant because he says, there's nature. Nature is that if I plant something, a tree will grow or wheat will grow. No. A Yid does Maimin b'chai ilam v'zeireya. He believes Hashem, and he trusts in Hashem, and he knows that Hashem sent me to and told me that this is what I should do, and that's why I'm doing it. Which is the difference between the way a Yid goes to work and between lahavdil, someone who isn't a Yid goes to work. A Yid goes to work, it's all part of his avodas Hashem. It's all part of the Maimin b'chai ilam. Even when he's in the field and when he's planting, it's all part of avodas Hashem. And why is the Yid eating? It's avodas Hashem, and obviously that goes without saying, the davening and the learning. And when a person is able to what's the V'haya emunah sitecha chesed Yeshua? Is that the lashon hapasuk? Okay. Right. So when that happens, then when you do a mitzvah, you experience profound joy. You've given away the false idol. You know, there's a pasuk, another pasuk, also in Yeshaya. Oisi azvu makoyer mayim chayim, that Hashem complains that my nation did for me two evils. One of them is oisi azvu makoyer mayim chayim, me you abandoned the source of living waters. And what did you abandon me for? Lachtzaiv lahem boireis nishbarim. You went to dig for yourselves wells which are broken. Two evils. One, we abandoned Hashem. And who did we abandon Hashem for? We abandoned Hashem for the idols. That's what it's talking about. There's actually a great mashal from the Dubna Magid illustrating this point. So there's a person, a wealthy person, who took for himself a son-in-law. This wealthy person was the businessman, and the son-in-law wasn't so bright. So, but he needed to, help his son-in-law establish himself. So he told the son-in-law, here, take $10,000, go to the nearest city, and the nearest big city, buy yourself some merchandise for cheap, and come back here, and to the village over here, and start a business. So the guy goes off to the big city, and a little while later, a few weeks later, he comes back, and he has with him a truckload of shofars, gotten on the cheap. He got 500 shofars for $10,000. He was told that the retail value is much more. Father looks at him. He says, "Where in the world, in this small village, are you going to sell 500 shofars? There's not. We could sell 4 shofars in this village. What are we doing with these 5? You idiot! You have no idea on how to do business. What's this? A little brains you have to have. You have to buy something which everyone needs. Here, take another $10,000. Go back. Get something which everyone needs." He goes and he comes back. 2 weeks later, you know this, and he comes back with a wagon load of toothpicks. Father says, "Toothpicks? You know how long it's going to take to sell a wagon load of toothpicks?" He gives up on the son-in-law. He says, "Listen, okay, you go, you study Torah or do something, whatever. I'll support you. I'll give you a stipend."
That's it.
And then the guy, the wealthy man, he calls in 2 business people, proven business people, and he tells them, "Here," but he did not in front of each other. He calls in one, says, "Here's a wagon load of shofars. Get rid of it. Get me back anything for it. Any merchandise is better than this." And then he calls on another business person and says, "Here's a wagon load of toothpicks. Get rid of it. I'm willing to take a loss. Just get me anything instead of toothpicks." They go off, and a day later they come back, and the one who gave the shofars comes with the wagon load of toothpicks, and the one to whom he gave the toothpicks comes back with the wagon load of shofars. They made a trade. And the son-in-law, who saw this whole thing, he turns to the father-in-law and says, "You see, I'm not so stupid after all. Take a look. These are 2 veteran businessmen. And this one, traded for the shofars. This one traded for the toothpicks." So the father-in-law screams at him, "You idiot. He says, they traded one valueless thing for another valueless thing. You traded good money, $10,000 for this valueless thing. You can't compare one to another. So that's what also the Dubna Magid says, that Hashem says, the first thing is that the first evil that you did is that you abandoned me. The second evil is, who did you abandon me for? For broken, worthless wells, worthless idols. And that's, you want to trade value for value is one thing. But to trade value for nothing is a much worse crime. And that's what we do. Because when we make that our pursuit of happiness is contingent upon our nefesh habahamis and achieving our own desires and achieving our own pleasure and gratification and completion, even spiritual completion, and we're abandoning the real source of happiness. And the real source of happiness is Hashem, is the nefesh halikis. And we put the nefesh halikis in the closet, and we say, I'll meet you one day, maybe Yom Kippur by Ne'ilah, I'll tap into you. And we live with a nefesh habahamis mindset, and thereby we doom ourselves to a life of anxiety and frustration and not happiness. And what we have to do is we have to smash our ego a little, as we did in the last two chapters, and realize the ultimate joy is in doing a mitzvah. But the only way we can experience that joy is if we have that mindset, which is that we wake up in the morning and we say, and we say, Hashem, today my agenda is yours. And when we have that mindset, when our goal in life, when our mission in life is to serve Hashem, then every single time we do a mitzvah, we study Torah that gives us incredible joy, the joy of the nefesh halikis. We are identifying with the nefesh halikis, the joy that the nefesh halikis experiences. Nefesh halikis comes from the highest of the high, and it comes down into this low, miserable, despicable body, filled with with flaws and with temptations. And when it gets to do a mitzvah, it's like it's surfacing and getting some fresh air, the tremendous joy it feels. And we can tap into that joy if we take on a nefesh halikis mentality, which means a bittul mentality as opposed to a self-centered mentality. And this is the ultimate secret of joy, tapping into the joy of the nefesh halikis and the joy in Torah and in mitzvahs. And with that, we'll continue 2 lines from the bottom of page Mem. There is no joy as great like going out of captivity, which is what the nefesh halikis experiences every single time it does a mitzvah. Ben Melach, and this is like the mashal of a prince who was in captivity, and in captivity it's not enough that he's in jail, but he's made to grind, to turn the millstone, like it says by right, what it said by Tzias Mitzrayim, Ad B'choyer, right, Hatoichen, right, what did it say with it? The one who's grinding, Beis Asurim. And not only is he in prison, away from his father, not only is he forced to do harsh labor, but he's dirty and lying in filth. And he goes free to follow the king. Imagine the joy that he feels. That is the joy the neshama feels every single time that we do a mitzvah, that we study Torah, that we daven. The joy of a prince that is in captivity, being made to do harsh manual labor, which harsh manual labor is difficult for everyone, and how much more so a prince, and this, lying in tremendous filth, and finally he goes out and is united with his father the king. That is the joy of the neshama. And think about this for a moment. This is a very key part to this perek. Think about the joy of the reunion of the prince and his father the king. Now, the prince has been together with his father the king many times, but the joy is much greater today than it was 5 years ago, before he was taken into captivity, when he saw his father the king every single day. What makes the joy greater? The captivity, the harshness of the captivity, the filth, all the negative things now contribute to make the joy even greater. So what is that in the nimshal? What is that in the analog? And this is tremendous. The captivity we're talking about is the body. The soul is a captive in the body. The filth are all the desires, the temptations, the character flaws that we have. The greater the captivity, the greater the filth, the more repulsive the body, the greater the joy in doing a mitzvah and learning Torah. Which this is very counterintuitive.
You could appreciate because you could contrast it.
Exactly.
You can't contrast. You have no reference.
The joy, exactly. The joy the neshama feels in doing a mitzvah. So when you think to yourself, how can I enjoy doing a mitzvah when I am such a lowly individual with all my character flaws and all my temptations and all my predilections and everything that's wrong with me? The more there is wrong with you, the greater the joy there is in doing a mitzvah and knowing that with this the neshama is being released from the captivity which it's in and is able now to reunite with its father, with Hashem. So usually we tend to think, how do I become happier? The more refined the individual I become, and the more holy I become, and the more spiritual I become. That's the secret to greater happiness. And now we're finding the exact opposite is true. Because the lighter the captivity, the less the joy when he reunites with the king. Now, I'm not suggesting that we work on becoming more coarse and more megushim, as they would say. But if that happens to be your situation, that does not stop you from experiencing simcha. To the contrary, it contributes to the simcha. And this is a new depth to the pasuk that we learned, b'chol etzev yeh moiser, that there's advantage to be gained by every sadness. The more you're sad about your state, your spiritual state, the greater the happiness that you can experience when you learn Torah and when you do a mitzvah, when you daven. And the happiness is not despite the sadness. It's not despite the fact that you're a lowly person, but it's because of it. Which means that this joy that we're talking about, the joy of experiencing the joy of the neshama when it learns Torah, does a mitzvah and serves Hashem. So someone else might be thinking, well, that's for great tzaddikim. No, it's not for great tzaddikim. That's for us. It's for every single one of us. That if I could wake up in the morning and say, yes, I know who I am, and I know I'm not a tzaddik, I know I'm very far from a tzaddik, but that's irrelevant. I have a job today. What's my job? My job is today is pidyon shvuim. That's my job for today. And halacha talks about pidyon shvuim is a mitzvah rabbah, is a great mitzvah. Think about the pidyon shvuim of your own neshama. That's my job today. I'm devoted to Hashem and to releasing my neshama and allowing it to reunite, and thinking about the incredible joy that my neshama is going to experience. Well, me. A tzaddik does a mitzvah, a big tzaddik does, a big rabbi in the shul does a mitzvah. Okay, the neshama is like, okay, okay, that's nice. But when I'm going to do a mitzvah, my neshama is going to be absolutely ecstatic and giddy, because it's used to being in such refuse and such stink, that when I do a mitzvah, that's the greatest joy that there is. So this is a case of, you can't say, this is a simcha which is beyond my level. To the contrary. To the contrary. Whatever your level is, you can have simcha, and the lower you are, the more simcha you can have. Forget about yourself. Stop thinking about yourself. It's about the neshama. 2 lines from the top of page 80. Even though that the body, when we say the body, we don't just mean the physical flesh, but the body and the bodily drives remain disgusting and repulsive. As the Zohar says, the nikra mishcha dechivya, that the body is called the skin of the snake. The human body is like the skin of the snake from Etz of the Chet Etzadas. It's because the essence of the animal soul does not become transformed to good. We still retain all our selfish qualities. Our nefesh b'hamis does not become subsumed in holiness. Still, let your soul be more precious in your eyes. To to rejoice in its joy, yoser mahaguf hanivza, more so than you focus on the despicable body. Don't mix up and don't confuse the incredible joy that you take with the nefesh alikis, with the depression that comes as a result of the body. So you have a choice in life. You can focus on your body and on your deficiencies. I'll say again, body is a code word for, your body and all your selfish bodily desires. And you can be depressed because of it. And if you think about yourself honestly, you will be depressed. Or you can take a different tactic altogether. And you can focus on your neshama. And the words of the Alter Rebbe, Tikar nafshe be'einav, let your neshama be more precious in your eyes. And if you take a tremendous joy in your neshama, the body won't make a difference anymore. Imagine you're marrying off your, you're marrying off your son or your daughter. And at the wedding, someone comes and tells you, by the way, coming from your house, your computer just, what's called the blue screen of death, your computer just zapped. So how upset are you going to be?
No, it's irrelevant.
It's irrelevant. What?
Who cares?
Who cares? When you're engrossed in the joy of doing a mitzvah, then the itzavin haguf, all the your bodily deficiencies, they don't matter. You're in a different place right now. You're on a different level. You're identifying with the neshama, and that is the key to happiness. Ultimately, the key to happiness is identifying with the neshama and the joy of the neshama. And the joy of the neshama, the beauty of it is that it's there for the taking every single moment. Every single moment. It's always possible to be serving Hashem. Yes.
But I guess the point over here is more than just not seeing the body, but that contrast, that seeing how gross the body really is, and that actually, like you were saying, that
it heightens
the contrast, because you're not going to really ever escape the body. So it's kind of like Sumer Rabbi Tov, the contrast, the light and dark. And use the focus on how gross the body is comparatively.
But and that can be right, like you said, it can add to the simcha. Then, so the body is the body. I'm right now consumed with the neshama. That's my goal, is the neshama and the joy. I'm pretty sure I've said this story before. I'll say it again. It's an amazing story. A chassid, his name was Mendel Futterfass. He's somewhat of a legendary Lubavitch chassid, renowned for his Mesiras Nefesh in Russia and his Ahavas Yisrael, and he spent many years in the Russian gulags for spreading Torah and Yiddishkeit, and also for helping many chassidim leave Russia. And over there, in the gulags, in the labor camps, right? So there were a lot of highly intelligent people over there, and highly accomplished people, because the Russian government, that was one of their things, was anyone who had too much brains, was too accomplished, was a threat to their system. And anyone who was suspected, even somewhat the slightest, of saying something or thinking something or wanting to think something which was against the Russian government, was right away sent away. And if the more influential the person is, the more likely he was to be sent away, because the Russian government was so scared of any... So Mendel became friends with many of these people. Many of them, again, from the upper echelons of the upper crust of Russian society. And one night they're all sitting together, and one of them turns to Mendel and says, Mendel, I don't get this. Why are you always so happy? And he was. Mendel was always a very happy person. I remember him still as, what?
You mentioned this.
I think I've said this story before. What?
He's an older man in Crown Heights.
He lived in Israel. He lived in Kfar Chabad, but he would come to the Rebbe often in Crown Heights, but he lived in Israel, yeah. He's a mashpia in Kfar Chabad. But that was one thing always that characterized him. Two things you'd say was Ahavas Yisrael and Simcha, which, by the way, they go hand in hand, as we'll see in Perek Lamed Beis. Ahavas Yisrael and Simcha really are both symptoms of the same cause.
I believe Abraham's grandfather, right? I believe
yes, yes, his grandfather, correct. So Rabbi Lieberov's mother, it's killed in a car accident shortly after Mendel left Russia. Right.
3 years ago. In Pennsylvania.
What? No, his mother.
His mother,
We're talking about in like 1967 or something. We're talking about.
Oh, I see.
Shortly, Mendel was separated from his family for 20 years. His family was in England. They got out. And when he got out, he had one son, one daughter. The daughter was killed in a car accident. She had 11 kids. His ability to endure everything and still be such a simchadik person was... Anyway, but the bottom line is, so one of them says, why are you so happy? So in true Jewish fashion, he turns back to them and says, why aren't you happy? They look at him, why aren't we happy? We have to explain that. He says, yeah, why aren't you happy? So they go around and each one describes why they were in the middle of, whatever they were in the middle of doing in life was interrupted. Their life's mission, one was writing a book, and one was in the middle of an invention, and one was in the middle of building up an orchestra, whatever it may be. It was everyone. So when they went, after they finished, he says, okay, now I get it. He says, the reason why you're all not happy is because being here prevents you from pursuing your life's dreams. My life's dream is to serve Hashem, and that I could do wherever I am. That's why I'm happy. Because, and by the way, if you're pursuing it, if you are an author, you are a musician, you are a doctor, you're never, ever, anyways going to get to the ultimate where you want to. But if your simcha is the simcha of the neshama, the simcha of serving Hashem, that simcha is available whenever and wherever, also as illustrated with the story last week with Rabbi Malach and Rabbi Zusha. Watch the video, you'll find out the story. And that's the secret to simcha. Secret to simcha is the less me, the more I can be happy. And that's why sometimes when the me is too strong, I can't be happy. I have to, embark on the journey of mivachenli, of crushing the nefesh habahamis, which was what we learned in chapters 29 and 30. But the purpose of crushing the nefesh habahamis is not to crush yourself, but it's to reach happiness. That's the irony of it. Those two chapters, which are, what they say in Yiddish, ashen parach, fire and brimstone, right? So if you go to other quarters or other streams, such as Musar, what is the purpose of the fire or brimstone of all the Musar? Is to bring you to a place of hachna, to a place where you feel lowly. In Chassidus, the fire and brimstone is to bring you to a place of simcha. It's all about simcha. It's not about It's not about wallowing in self-loathing. It's not the point. That's only a medium. That's only that's a tool to get you to a place of simcha. Because sometimes you have to break the me in order to be able to get past the me and be able to experience the true simcha, which is available only through the nefesh halikis.
And you make a mitzvah every time you besimcha. Mitzvah gedol aliyah besimcha.
That is true. Now, based on this, the Alter Rebbe is going to explain something very interesting. It's just something which is a pella, a wonder in those who Pasha learn Chumash Pshutei Shal Mikra on the simplest level. We know that it says that when the Yidden went out of Mitzrayim, it says Ki barach ha'am. Vayugad l'melech Mitzrayim Ki barach ha'am. What does barach mean?
He ran away.
No. It's not. That's not barach. Run away is to larutz, to go quickly. The word barach means to escape.
I thought it was the other way.
Barach, when talk about a bricha, even in Hebrew, modern Hebrew, a bricha means to escape. Escape means when you're leaving a place which is you're not supposed to leave. You're not allowed to leave, and you're leaving anyways. What does it mean that the Yidden escaped? And the fact is that the Yidden, they left under deceptive circumstances. The entire time Moshe was telling Parei, we want to go 3 days into the desert. And finally, after the Makas B'Cheres, Parei relented. The Yidden are going for 3 days into the desert. And everyone is under the impression that after 3 days, the Yidden are returning, coming back to Mitzrayim. 3 days go by. And the Yidden aren't there. So what does he do? He goes chasing them. And all the Mefarshim speak about this. Why would... What?
What would Moshe say just through?
Yeah, in other words, after Makas Bechiris,
Relying on a lie.
Moshe Rabbeinu, when Parei was desperate that the Yidden should leave Mitzrayim, as the pasuk says, right, that the Mitzrayim were pushing them to leave, and they even said, "We want you to leave right away." And Moshe says, "No, we're not leaving in the middle of the night like thieves. We're going to leave at midday." And Moshe held all the cards at that point. And he could have told Parei, "We are leaving forever. We're not coming back. I want you to hear it. Sign the official papers." And Parei would not. What would he have said? He would have said, "No, you can't go." But he said, "Okay, now we're going for the second-borns." There wasn't any room for negotiation at that point. Remember, a few days earlier there was a civil war already with the Bechorim, the firstborn already. Why the deception? Why the deception? Why couldn't Moshe just say, "We're leaving"? And sei gesund, we're never seeing you again. It's a pashto question. And the whole thing was that they borrowed the stuff from Mitzrayim, right? The clothing and the utensils. Right? So various answers are given. And Pshutei Shal Mikra. One very, just on the side, one fascinating answer is given by the Eir Chaim HaKadosh. And he says that the Mitzrayim had to be punished, Midah Keneged Midah. Midah Keneged Midah, just like they threw the children into the Nilus, so they had to be punished by being drowning in the Yam Suf. So they had to be drawn out in some way. And therefore, the whole deception was to arrange that they should follow them and they should drown. Good answer. So the Chaim says, one second, but Hashem could have gotten them to Yam Suf in some other way. Hashem has so many means at His disposal. Why in this way of deception? So he says the deception is also Midah Keneged Midah. Because we know that Mitzrayim, the way they got the Yidden to work was Beferach. They fooled them, they deceived them. The first they said, we want some patriotic people to come help. And then they forced the slavery upon them. So since they did it with the deception, so their punishment had to be that they were deceived, and that's how they met their final end, which was Midah Keneged Midah, for them drowning the Yidden. That's a Pshutei Shal Mikra answer. But we have over here, the question is, Al Pi Chassidus, the Alter Rebbe is going to tell us a whole new idea. We know this is something which is axiomatic to Chassidus and to Kabbalah, and this is something that we've discussed many times. Whatever happens here in this physical world is a reflection of the spiritual realities that exist. Not the other way around. Whatever happens here is a manifestation of the spiritual realities. The spiritual reality at that time of Yetzias Mitzrayim was what? That the Jewish people, we're talking about Geula, they experienced Geula. What does Geula mean on a spiritual level? They were still unrefined people at that time. They still had terrible midos. They had to work through them in the 49 days up to the time of Matan Torah. When the Yidden went out of Mitzrayim, we know, as the Zohar tells us, that they were on the 49th level of impurity. And that took some time to reverse. They were on a very, very low spiritual level. So when they left Mitzrayim, what does that mean that they left Mitzrayim? You know, Mitzrayim represents the Golos. It means that they escaped Mitzrayim. But Mitzrayim still existed. Exactly what we're saying over here. Every single time when we learn Torah, when we do a mitzvah, what's happening? We're essentially experiencing Yetzias Mitzrayim. The neshama is escaping the confines of the body and reuniting with Hashem through the Torah that is learned. and through the mitzvah that is performed, and through the davening, but the neshama has not transformed the guf. The parei, the Mitzrayim, still exists. If the body, if the guf and the nefesh habahamis is a metaphor for parei and Mitzrayim, then that still exists. But every single time that I learn Torah, I do a mitzvah, I'm experiencing Yetzias Mitzrayim. Sorry?
Tricking the body?
Yeah.
Like, is it like a trick?
But it's like, you're getting caught, it's an escape.
Escape.
It's an escape. Escape from Egypt.
What is the deception?
The point here isn't the deception. The point is why is it that the Yidden have to live in a way where Parei and Mitzrayim were still in existence, and not only were still in existence, they, to a certain extent, they still retained control over them. When were Parei and Mitzrayim destroyed? Parei and Mitzrayim were destroyed by Kriyas Yamsuf. Right? For those of you who are familiar somewhat with Chabad tradition, we know that Kriyas Yamsuf, which is on Shvi Shal Pesach and Achem Shal Pesach, is a time when we celebrate the coming of Mashiach. We have Mashiach Suda. And why is that? Because the idea of evil being eradicated, that's something which is when Mashiach comes. Mashiach comes, we eradicate the evil. And who is that in human being? That's the tzaddik. A tzaddik is someone who's rid of the parei, he's rid of the Mitzrayim, he's transformed everything. And Mashiach comes, we'll experience that collectively as a nation. We'll be rid of the parei, be rid of the Mitzrayim. And that's why when it says when Mashiach comes, it says, the exact opposite. My Mitzrayim, we were running for our lives. Why? Because we were running away from the evil which still existed and which was still very real. Not only was it real in the physical place of Mitzrayim, it was real within the reality of every single Yid. Because they were on such a low spiritual level, they had to contend with their own personal Mitzrayim. So they were escaping, they were running away. And that's fascinating, because you think about it, why are we celebrating Pesach on the 15th day of Nisan? When did we finally leave the clutches of Parei and Mitzrayim? It was by Kriyas Yamsuf, right? So why are we celebrating the 15th day of Nisan? That would seem to be that was only like a stage in the redemption. Full redemption came by Kriyas Yamsuf. For celebrating stages, we could celebrate maybe where Makas Dam happened. The Gemara says in Masechtas Rosh Hashanah, right, that as soon as Makas Dam happened, but on Rosh Hashanah already the Yidden weren't anymore enslaved. 6 months before, 6 or 7 months before the Yidden were in Mitzrayim. Why are we celebrating the stage? Why don't we just wait till it's all over and Chav Beis Nisan celebrate Pesach? And the same question, why are we celebrating Yetzias Mitzrayim? Let's just celebrate Mashiach's coming. But that's the attitude that only the tzaddik can celebrate. The tzaddik represents, again, the tzaddik and Kriyas Yamsuf and Mashiach are all synonymous with each other. Yetzias Mitzrayim and the Beinoni, the struggler, they go together. Because we, in our lives, what do we experience? We experience Yetzias Mitzrayim on a daily basis. And in fact, I know we talked about this in the past also. Why is Yetzias Mitzrayim so fundamental to Yiddishkeit? We've talked about how Hashem is OCD by Yetzias Mitzrayim, right? Talks about it non-stop, Yetzias Mitzrayim. We mention it non-stop, Yetzias Mitzrayim. Because Yetzias Mitzrayim is such a foundation in our service of Hashem. The understanding, I don't have to be rid of the evil in order to celebrate. I can celebrate and be happy and be simcha when I'm doing a mitzvah, when I'm studying Torah, even though that my parei still exists, my Mitzrayim still exists, and my parei, my Mitzrayim still think it controls me. Just like parei back then, right? It thinks that I'm taking a little vacation, it thinks it still controls me. And that's also a reason why to celebrate. We sit on Pesach, and not only that, let's be honest, most of us, what's the greater celebration? The first days of Pesach or the last days of Pesach? First days of Pesach. Why? Because that's our reality. When Mashiach comes, that might change. Maybe then we'll celebrate more the last days of Pesach. Because that's more representative of Mashiach. Mashiach comes, we're not running anywhere. That's what it says, the Pasuk says. Why aren't we running anywhere when Mashiach comes?
There's no evil.
Because there's nothing to run away from. There's nothing to run away from. By Yetzias Mitzrayim, we were running because we had what to run from. Our own evil. which was represented in a physical place by Mitzrayim. And it's seen in this vein. It's so understandable why Yetzias Mitzrayim plays such an important role in Yiddishkeit, because, let's be honest, 99.9% of us are on that level. We're in the level of the Beinoni, we're in the level of the struggler. And we have, as the Alter Rebbe says, and our body and our bodily desires are very, very far from a place of holiness. That should not interfere with our ability to achieve complete simcha. Every time that we do a mitzvah, we study Torah and realize the contrary. Just like there's the joy of running out of Mitzrayim, the joy of the neshama being redeemed from the Mitzrayim and reuniting with Hashem. Let's do this inside. Sorry?
How many lines?
Vihine. 7 lines from the top of page 80. Vihine b'chinazu. Now this idea, this point, which we're talking about, this simcha that we experience every time that we do a mitzvah and study Torah, he bechinas Yetzias Mitzrayim. This is Yetzias Mitzrayim. Shneimar above, regarding which it is stated, Ki barach ha'am, says that we escaped. The l'cheiru tamua, l'cheira, this is a wondrous thing. L'mahaisa kazois. Why did it have to be in this way? V'chi'ilu amad l'farei, had they told to let them free forever, not 3 days, but forever. Would he not have been compelled to send them? Ella, but since the evil which was in the neshamas, the souls of the Yidden, was still at its full strength. Because their stench did not go away until Matan Torah. It says, the Gemara says, that by the Chet Eitzadas, so humanity was infected with a zuhama, with a spiritual stench. And when did that stench end? By Matan Torah. And then it returned, and to a small degree by the Chet Ego. But the fact that by Yetzias Mitzrayim they still had that stench shows that spiritually they still were in a lowly place. Rather, what was their goal? All they wanted was that the nefesh halikis should leave the exile, the galus of the Sitra Achra, Hitumas Mitzrayim, which is the impurity of Egypt, and to connect to Hashem. As the pasuk says in Tehillim, Hashem Uzi, Hashem is my strength, Uzi, the one who gives me strength. Minusi beyotzara. Minusi, what does Minusi mean?
Run away.
The one who I escaped to, right? That is the Gomer. Miskabi, we say also Hashem Miskabi, right? Also the one who gives the one my strength. Minusi, the Gomer, the one who I escaped to. Humamesli, Hashem is the place to where I escape. All this represents the idea of when we do a mitzvah, we're starting Torah, we're escaping to Hashem and experiencing the joy of the neshama at its reunion with Hashem. And therefore, in the future, when the spirit of impurity will be removed from the land, from the world, then it says, we will not be running away, we will not be escaping then, because Hashem will be going before us at that time. Now, in order to have an even deeper and stronger tshuva, here we're talking not tshuva for sins, we're talking about tshuva as in the sense of returning the neshama to Hashem. And also to increase the joy of the neshama. When a person takes to heart the following understanding, to console oneself from one's sadness and from one's grief. To say to a person, to say to themselves, Kenal, as I mentioned earlier, hey namas, taka, all is true, that my body is despicable, etc. However, Ani lo yasisi es atzmi. I did not create myself. This is incredible words. After all the bashing of ourselves that we did in the past chapters, so the first thing that we did until now is we transitioned, said, okay, all that's true. I'm lowly, I'm despicable, I'm disgusting, I'm materialistic, etc. But I'm going to focus on my neshama. My joy will be the joy of the neshama. Now the Alter is adding an additional point. Besides for the fact that your joy is the neshama, let's return for a second to all that thinking about the body and how lowly it is. Whose fault is that? Who gave you all those desires? Who gave you those character flaws? Who gave you those temptations? Who made you a materialistic, self-centered person? It's Hashem, it's not your fault. Why did Hashem do this? Why would Hashem take a piece of His light? The light of Hashem, the one who fills the worlds and surrounds the worlds, and all the worlds are absolutely nothing in comparison to Him. And what does Hashem does? He takes this neshama, this piece of Him, and puts it in the skin of the snake, and the putrid drop. Why would Hashem do that? The whole purpose is, the purpose of the descent is for an aliyah. What is the aliyah? To elevate to Hashem, the nefesh bahamis, which is a klipas noiga, and its garments, the machshava, the dibur, the mais, the thought, speech, and action of the nefesh bahamis, through making them part, through using them in machshava and dibur mais of Torah, which these kamalas will be explained later in chapters 36, 37, 38, inyan halazu. The whole concept behind this elevation, ba'arichos at length, eichshu tachlis b'riyas ha'olam, how it is the entire purpose of the world. So why, again, the fact that I'm so lowly, it's not my fault. It's all by part of the plan. And what is the plan? The reason is because Hashem wants that the lowly me and my lowly nefesh bahamis should become elevated to Hashem through me doing Torah mitzvahs. V'im kein, and therefore, v'im kein eifei, and if so, zois as said, this is what I shall do. V'zois tiya kol magmasi, and this will be my entire aspiration, kol yimei cheldi, every day of my life. Lachol bahem, to subsume within Hashem, chaye ruchi v'nafshi, my entire life. Kol meshakaso v'elecha Hashem nafshi esa. To you, Hashem, I lift my soul, dahainu lekasher machshavti v'diburi, to connect my thought and my speech with machshavti v'diburi yisbarach, and Hashem's thought and Hashem's speech, hein, gufi halachas aruchis l'fanenu, that is through studying the halachas in Torah, v'chein maisa b'maisa, I will connect my maisa to Hashem's maisa through maisa mitzvahs, sh'lechein nikras ha-Torah meshivas nefesh, and that's why Torah is called meshivas nefesh, because Torah returns the neshama to its source. Pirush l'mekoyre v'sharshav al zen emar, and regarding this it says, Pekudei Hashem yisharim mesamchei alev, the mitzvahs of Hashem are upright and they make the heart joyous, the unity we have with Hashem. So this is a whole new thing that Alter Rebbe introduced over here, because we had three stages. Stage number one is how despicable you are. You're so terrible and unholy and distant from Hashem, and your desires are so far from Hashem. That took us like 2.5 chapters. Then comes along the Alter Rebbe and says, but all of this doesn't prevent you from having joy. Why? Because that's only one side of the coin. The other side of the coin is they have a neshama. So tikar nafshe be'enav, as Alter Rebbe says, let your neshama be more precious in your eyes. And although your body is actually a reason and a source for grief and sadness and everything, but focus on the joy of the neshama. If you have a neshama-dika life, then it'll become somewhat irrelevant, all the deficiencies of your body, because you're focused on your neshama. Focus on doing a mitzvah, focus on Torah, you're experiencing your Tzias Mitzrayim. So therefore, what is the source of the joy? The source of the joy is that I'm focused on the neshama and not on the guf. Now comes along the Alter Rebbe and says, hold it one second. Everything we said before about how lowly and despicable your body is true. But that's not your fault. It's Hashem who did it. And why did He do that? And the reason is, as he alludes to a little in the parentheses over here, is because the purpose and the goal and the objective of the entire Torah the purpose and objective of the creation of the entire world is that you should elevate your lowly nefesh habahamis to kedusha through performing mitzvahs and through learning Torah. If so, then the lowliness of your body also isn't a reason why to be upset. It's not only that your happiness is because of the neshama. Now the Alter Rebbe tells you can be happy even because of the guf. You can tell me, how can I be happy slowly? Yeah, but that's not my fault. And the purpose is to elevate it. So what am I going to do? I'm going to elevate it. And once I'm doing my job and I'm elevating it, there is no room anymore to be upset. My neshama I'm happy because of my neshama. And even to say I'm upset because my guf is lowly. Why should I be upset? That's part of the plan. The plan is it should be lowly and I should elevate it to Hashem. So we're left with over here is a tremendous joy which comes both because of the nefesh elokis and even because of the nefesh habahamis, if the nefesh habahamis is utilized properly in doing Torah and in learning mitzvahs. So this is the first approach to joy, which the Alter Rebbe talks about in Tanya over here. And in Mirz Hashem, next week we will start the next chapter, chapter 32, which is called Perek Leiv, the heart of Tanya, and which is all about Ahavas Yisrael. We're going to take a little detour. And we'll come back to Simcha after that.
Together.